a project well worth supporting. So with that said, can we agree the recommendations as set out on page 29 of the report, please?
Chair, sorry, just before we agree them, I just wanted to come back and say I was absolutely bowled over with that video, like you've just said. I mean, this just epitomises everything that, you know, we should be supporting as a combined authority, and it's sort of community wealth building at its best. Not very often do I get excited as a politician, particularly in the times that we're living in at the moment. But this is great. This is really, really fantastic. Sorry, I interrupted you there, but I just wanted to say that before we went into the vote.
It's not the first time you've done that, is it?
No.
Any other comments on what Janette has just presented, or even on the video? Okay, great. Okay, then with that, all I think absolutely accepted by everybody. Can we agree with recommendations on page 29?
Agreed, Chair.
Great. Okay. Item 7 then is a report that provides an opportunity to support the growth of business startups across the city region. Again, it links with what we're just seeing, but it's through a high growth diagnostic service. And again, Councillor Williamson is going to take us through this.
Thanks, Chair. I'm sorry for cutting in before. Just got carried away. Okay, so thank you, Chair. As we know, the Growth Platform provides services to businesses that help them grow. In this project, the Growth Platform wishes to offer diagnostic services, helping businesses to identify their opportunities to grow and create jobs. Following a transparent procurement exercise, professional consultant EY has emerged as the preferred bidder at a cost of £300,000. This is an ERDF funded project. It will complement the efforts of our local teams who are flat out providing grants and other support to local businesses. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Janette, again. Yeah, another great project, I would have thought, which will get huge support. Any questions for Janette? Yeah, Asif.
Yeah, just to say that it's a great initiative, this, because it'll help our businesses grow the potential, and it's vital to our economy to get these high potential growth businesses back up and starting, and it also simplifies the process and helps business support the ecosystem of where they need to go and how we'll do it. So it's a great initiative, and I highly recommend this.
Yeah, it very much, again, chimes with everything that we're trying to do. When you look at this now strategically, you're starting to see, aren't you, the general direction of travel for the combined authority and the Liverpool City region. Okay, can we therefore agree the recommendations on page 51?
Agreed. Agreed.
Item 8 then is the proposed temporary deviation from previously approved SIF change control processes for material changes. We sometimes have these really pithily titled items, but this is a really important one. It's a report that seeks temporarily to amend the constitution to allow some of those material changes that can be approved up until the annual meeting after the next set of elections. And Jill Cool, who's our monitoring officer, we've got to take us through this report.
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor set out, we've got a period of time where we'll be having no meetings coming up, and ordinarily material changes to some of our projects would be brought to members for their consideration. In the gap that we will experience, we thought it would be helpful to allow the projects to continue, to delegate some authority to officers in consultation with the portfolio holder to ensure that those projects don't stall in the months in between those meetings. And it's just really the end of a municipal year and the start of a municipal year for the period that we're looking to cover. So if members could agree that unanimously, because it is a change to the constitution, albeit temporary, that would be most helpful to officers and the projects.
Thanks, Jill. Now, this does need unanimity, so can we agree the recommendations are set out on page 61?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Was David agreed to that?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Yeah, agreed.
Great. Okay, so that's unanimous then, Jill.
Thank you.
9 is Brownfield Fund, and this is a report that set out our proposals for the first year of activity for that particular fund, and it comes under Councillor Morgan's portfolio. So over to you, Graham.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'm pleased to introduce this report, which presents the latest update on our work together regarding the Brownfield Land Fund. This is the City Region's first devolved fund, especially for housing, worth a total of £45 million over 5 years. And today's paper sets out how we are investing over £9 million in the first year of the fund. It seeks approval to use the funding to address viability challenges across 7 future housing development projects in the City Region. We can then continue to work with a range of our partners, helping to deliver quality homes for local residents and contributing towards our wider economic growth ambitions. Delivering at pace against this first year's initial investment will be vital, not only to help to achieve those ambitions, but also to continue to demonstrate the local areas are best placed to respond to local needs, and that locally developed powers and funding can make a difference to the lives and the people across the City Region. Finally, the challenging timescales to spend the funding in less than a year mean that the funds are being transferred to our partners in one payment where possible to ensure that spending delivery goes at pace. We are ensuring that the grant funding arrangements have robust clauses to help address any slippages and delays. Colleagues, I'm pleased to move the recommendations on this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Graham. And you mentioned it there in your report, but we do welcome funding from national government, and we give credit where it's due to national government for trusting us. But sometimes I have to say the timescales that they provide for us are unrealistic. We are in the middle of a COVID crisis still. And I just wish that we, take more cognizance of the fact that whilst we are trying to do everything that we can, some of those stretching timescales need a little bit of leeway. So with that said, has anybody else got anything else they want to add? Okay. No. Okay, then before we agree the recommendations, I understand that there's been a slight administrative error in recommendation B, and that the fund will be going to Onward Homes and not to Magenta Living as it sets out in the report. But other than that, with the amendment, can we agree the recommendations set out on page 65, please?
Great, Chair.
Agreed, Chair.
Great. Item 10, therefore, is the Local Skills Action Plan, and this is, again, really important to the whole strategic future of the City Region, and it's a report that seeks out approvals for the action plan for 2021-2022. So we'll hand over to Kirsty McLean, who's the Director of Policy and Strategic Commissioner, I think, Kirsty, and you're going to take us through the report, which again is fully supported by the portfolio holder, who is Councillor Simon, and also the Deputy Portfolio is Councillor Sinnott. Unfortunately, both of them people aren't able to be at this meeting, but they're in full support of what Kirsty's about to tell us.
Thank you for the introduction. So the important context to this report is COVID. The last 12 months have seen a seismic change in our economy and labour market caused by the pandemic. This has unfortunately reversed some of the progress that we've seen in recent years. We've seen an increase in unemployment and economic inactivity and a reduction in the number of jobs being created. And due to the prevalence of certain health conditions such as respiratory and heart diseases and higher levels of obesity within the City Region, COVID has had more of an impact here than it has in some other places nationally. It's important context because this report sets out the summary Local Skills Action Plan for 2021-22. This action plan includes a detailed articulation of the current sectoral skill shortages and gaps, which will work with employers, colleges, training providers and universities to narrow. This takes account of the impact that we've seen from COVID, so it is an important piece of work. Employer involvement has been really critical in this work, and the plan has been developed by the refreshed Employment and Skills Board, which Asif chairs. We'll use the assessment that's set out to inform our commissioning and funding, including use of the devolved education budget. In spite of the pandemic, it's important to stress there will be jobs and further opportunities to come, and it remains important that we're providing hope and optimism for people, especially for our young people. The fundamental strengths, assets and opportunities haven't changed, and we need to communicate these broadly, and the Skills Action Plan is an important part of this, identifying the skills that are going to be needed across the city region. There's a more detailed version of the plan which we're proposing is signed off through delegated authority, and the recommendations are set out on page 73 of the agenda pack.
Thanks, Kirsty. And you did meet Asif, and Asif in his role as the chair of the Employment and Skills Board might want to add to what you've just said. So I'll give Asif the opportunity if he's there.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, this action plan has been considered by the Employment and Skills Board, which, as Kirsty referred to earlier, I'm the interim chair of the moment. The ESB endorsed this plan with the understanding that it's translated into delivery, which is the key here. So it's employer-led, actively involving business and the skills they need for the jobs that they're creating in the recovery, as this will help to ensure we employ as many local people as possible, but also giving them the skills that they need to help us, our recovery thrive and our economy get back to where it should be and where it was going towards that trajectory. So as chair of the ESB board, I look forward to working on this and ensuring that's the case, that it's employer-led and we're creating jobs and economic stability for our city region and our people.
Thanks for your support, Asif. It's important that we are all pulling together on this one. Any other questions or queries, concerns? No, can we agree the recommendations are set out on page 73?
Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
11 then is, well, it's 11 and 12, but 11 first, which is our digital strategy. These items both link together. But the digital strategy and action plan for 2021 to 2023 is before us for approval, and Councillor Baines is going to take us through this and then the next item.
Thanks, Chair. As the portfolio holder for digital connectivity and inclusion, I'm delighted to introduce this report to this afternoon's meeting of the Combined Authority. It's been produced over the last 6 months by the Combined Authority with the involvement of the Local Enterprise Partnership and very close input from all local authorities, I'm pleased to say, as well as other stakeholders. And I want to thank everyone who's helped to shape it, including the Deputy Portfolio Holder, Councillor Robertson Collins, and of course the CA officers who've done such an exceptional job to get us to this point. Digital connectivity is a priority for you, Chair, and for us as Labour politicians, I know that we recognise it's fundamentally a matter of social and economic justice. Access to reliable and affordable digital is now vital, as we've all found out this afternoon. The pandemic has shown just how critical all aspects of digital are for everyday life, from work to learning, entertainment, health and beyond. In shining a light on the importance of digital, the pandemic has also highlighted the inequalities in our society, including a digital divide. This paper and the following item on the agenda are significant steps towards tackling that inequality, as well as boosting prosperity in the region and access for all. The strategy showcases our region's distinctive assets and capabilities, and it sets out the challenges, opportunities, priorities and the actions for us in the next 3 years as we work towards achieving our overall ambition for the Liverpool City region to be the UK's most digitally connected and inclusive city region that maximises the benefits of technology and data for the benefit of all our businesses, residents and communities. Key projects include the 212-kilometre fibre backhaul network, which is the next agenda item, the expansion of the Liverpool 5G health and care network, the Hartree National Centre for Digital Innovation, and devising a comprehensive digital inclusion programme. There will be annual reviews at the end of 2021 and 2022, with a full refresh at the end of 2023. The focus now, Chair, is on delivery, and I ask colleagues to support the recommendations in the report. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And whilst this is 2021 to 2023, and I think most people now understand the enormous importance of digital connectivity, this is something that we all were behind way back in 2017. And the next item will, I think, demonstrate just how serious we were about digital connectivity. But this is our digital strategy going forward. And I'm just looking around to see whether anybody's indicating. Does anybody have any questions for David? No. Okay, then on this item, can we agree the recommendations are set out on page 101 then?
Agree, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, we can then move on to item 12, which actually puts some meat on the bones of what I've just been saying. And this is, as Councillor Baines said, the LCR digital backhaul network. And I'm sure he's going to explain exactly what that is. It might be a little impenetrable to most people, but it's an update on the contract award and the approval of the project procurement expenditure. And people will recall, hopefully, that back in December, we approved the awarding of the contract for this LCR digital backhaul network. And I'm hoping now that Councillor Baines, you're going to provide us with an update on how that backhaul network is actually progressing.
Thanks very much, Chair. Yeah, in a huge amount of technical detail, no doubt. Building on the previous item, as mentioned, this paper before you today is regarding significant investment in our region's digital infrastructure, and it's an important milestone in our work to support building back better, to encourage future innovation and business growth, and to support our mission to tackle long-standing inequalities in our communities. The purpose of this report is to firstly inform the Combined Authority of the conclusion of the contract finalisation process for the LCR backhaul network and the appointment of 2 LCRCA representatives to the board of the joint venture that will deliver the network. Secondly, it also requests approval for expenditure in connection with the delivery of the LCR backhaul network. It's recommended that the Combined Authority note that under the delegated authority granted in November 2020, I'm picking up some feedback, sorry, I don't know if anyone else is.
It's a very annoying and it's disconcerting, but I've just checked and nobody hasn't got the mic on mute, so it must be something to do with the system. Apologies for that, Councillor Baines, but if you try to persevere,
I'll
get
crack
through it.
on. It's so good what I'm saying, you get to hear it twice. So the purpose of this report, the second purpose, is to request approval for expenditure in connection with the delivery of the LCR backhaul network. It's recommended that the Combined Authority note that under the delegated authority granted in November 2020, the contract finalisation process has been completed and the contract for the LCR backhaul network has been awarded to the consortium comprising of ITS Technology Group Limited and NGE Concessions SAS. ITS is an alternative network operator headquartered in Chester with a footprint of 31 digital networks across the UK. NGE Group is a large French domiciled civil engineering company that works globally on investing in and delivering major infrastructure projects. It's also recommended that the Combined Authority note the appointment of 2 Combined Authority representatives, Mark Bousfield and Lorna Rogers, to act as directors on the joint venture board. This is per the authority delegated in November 2020 to the Director of Commercial Development and Investment in conjunction with the Combined Authority Monitoring Officer. The remaining recommendations are to delegate authority to the Director of Commercial Development and Investment to approve expenditure on historic and future external advisory support for the LCR backhaul project, subject to conclusion of the appropriate procurement procedures. Further details on all of these recommendations can be found within the report, Chair. Establishing a backhaul network will make the Liverpool City region an attractive investment destination and will bring over 100 million in economic benefit to the region, in addition to creating around 500 additional construction jobs through the design and build phase. Now, Chair, we're going to test our own digital connectivity again with a short video to highlight this scheme and what it means. So I'll invite officers now to show that video, and following that I'm happy to take any questions and propose that we support all the recommendations outlined in the report.